Abraham Lincoln. Failure is not a stop sign. It is a turn signal. I am Abraham Lincoln. You know me as the 16th president, the man who preserved the Union, the great emancipator, but you do not know how many times I failed before I succeeded. Let me count them for you. 1832. Lost my job. 1832. Defeated for state legislature. 1833. Failed in business. 1834. Elected to state legislature. Finally, a win. 1835. Sweetheart died. 1836. Nervous breakdown. 1838. Defeated for speaker. 1840. Defeated for elector. 1843. Defeated for Congress. 1846. Elected to Congress. Another win. 1848. Lost renomination. 1849. Rejected for land officer. 1854. Defeated for Senate. 1856. Defeated for Vice President. 1858. Defeated for Senate again. 1860. Elected President. 8 elections lost. 2 businesses failed. 1 breakdown. 1 death of someone I loved. 30 years of defeat. But I became president. How? Not despite my failures. Because of them. Let me tell you the secret. Failure is not a stop sign. Most people see failure as the end. I tried. I failed. I stop. That is how most people think. But that is wrong. Failure is not telling you to stop. It is telling you to turn. When I lost my first election in 1832, I could have stopped. Politics is not for me. I am not good enough. I should quit. But I did not hear, stop. I heard, turn. What did I learn from this defeat? I learned I needed more experience. I learned I needed to connect with people better. I learned I needed to understand their needs. So I did not stop. I turned. I worked harder to understand voters. I listened more. I learned more. 2 years later, I won. Not because I was lucky. Because I turned. Every failure is a turn signal. When my business failed in 1833, I was devastated. I owed money. I had no income. I felt like a complete failure. I could have given up. I am not a businessman. I should never try again. But failure was not telling me to stop. It was telling me to turn. What did this failure teach me? Business was not my path. But law was. I studied law. I became a lawyer. That business failure turned me toward my true calling. If I had never failed in business, I might never have become a lawyer. If I had never become a lawyer, I might never have entered politics. If I had never entered politics, I would never have become president. My business failure was not a stop sign. It was a turn signal toward my destiny. When I lost the Senate race in 1854, people pitied me. Poor Lincoln, he keeps losing. But I did not pity myself. I asked, what is this failure telling me to turn toward? It told me the issue. Slavery. That Senate campaign forced me to articulate my position on slavery. It forced me to develop my arguments. It forced me to find my moral voice. I lost the election, but I found my purpose. That defeat turned me toward the cause that would define my presidency. Without that loss, I might never have been ready to lead during the Civil War. Failure was not stopping me. It was preparing me. Most people fear failure. I understand why. Failure hurts. Failure embarrasses. Failure discourages. But failure is not your enemy. Failure is your teacher, your guide, your turn signal. It is not saying, you cannot succeed. It is saying, not this way. Try another way. Let me teach you how to read your failures. First, ask what, not why. When you fail, do not ask, why did this happen to me? That question leads to self-pity. Ask instead, what is this teaching me? When I lost elections, I did not ask, why do voters hate me? I asked, what do voters need that I am not providing? That question turned failure into education. Every defeat taught me something. About people, about issues, about leadership, about myself. By the time I became president, I had learned from 8 electoral defeats. Those lessons made me a better leader. If I had won every election, I would have been a worse president. Success teaches you to repeat. Failure teaches you to improve. I needed those failures. Second, look for the redirect. Every failure is redirecting you away from something, toward something. When my business failed, it redirected me away from commerce and toward law. When I lost Senate races, it redirected me away from that position and toward a deeper understanding of slavery. When my sweetheart died, it redirected me away from one relationship and toward reflection on life's meaning. Every failure redirects. Your job is to follow the redirect. Do not fight it. Do not resist it. Follow it. Where is your failure pointing you? If you lost a job, maybe it is pointing you toward a better fit. If a relationship ended, maybe it is pointing you toward growth. If a business failed, maybe it is pointing you toward your real calling. Follow the turn signal. Third, keep moving. This is the most important part. A turn signal only works if you are moving. If you stop, the signal is useless. Many people fail and stop. They sit in their failure. They dwell in their defeat. They camp in their disappointment. But a turn signal requires movement. I failed 8 times in elections, but I kept running. I failed in business twice, but I kept trying. I had a nervous breakdown, but I kept going. Every failure was a turn signal, but it only worked because I kept moving. If I had stopped after my first defeat, the signal would have been wasted. Keep moving, even when you fail, especially when you fail. That is when the turn signal is most important. Fourth, trust the process. I did not know at 30 that my failures were preparing me for the presidency. I did not know at 40 that my defeats were teaching me to lead a divided nation. I did not understand the purpose of my suffering until much later. But I trusted the process. I trusted that failure had meaning. I trusted that defeat had direction. I trusted that pain had purpose. And I was right. Every failure prepared me for the Civil War, for the Emancipation Proclamation, for preserving the Union. I could not have done those things without my failures. Success would not have prepared me. Only failure could. Trust your process. Your failures are not random. They are not meaningless. They are not wasted. They are preparing you for something bigger, for something better, for your purpose. Trust it. Now, you have failed. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe a business failed. Maybe a relationship ended. Maybe an election was lost. You are discouraged. I understand. But let me tell you what I learned in 30 years of defeat. This failure is not a stop sign. It is not telling you to quit. It is not telling you that you are not good enough. It is not telling you to give up. It is a turn signal. It is telling you to redirect. Ask yourself, what is this failure teaching me? Maybe it is teaching you that this path is not right. Maybe it is teaching you that you need more preparation. Maybe it is teaching you what truly matters. Where is this failure redirecting me? Maybe away from the wrong job toward the right one. Maybe away from superficial goals toward meaningful ones. Maybe away from who you thought you should be toward who you really are. Then keep moving. Do not stop in your failure. Follow the turn signal. Try again, in a new direction, with new wisdom. Trust that this failure has purpose. You may not see it now. I did not see it at 30 when I lost my second election. I did not see it at 40 when my business failed. I did not see it at 50 when I lost the Senate race. But at 51, I became president. And suddenly, every failure made sense. They were not stopping me. They were preparing me. They were redirecting me. They were turning me toward my destiny. Your failures are doing the same. Stop seeing them as stop signs. Start seeing them as turn signals. And follow them. They are leading you somewhere. Somewhere better than where you were going. I lost 8 elections, but I won the one that mattered. Not despite my losses. Because of them, you will too. Timeless Secret Wisdom, Abraham Lincoln.